Could I see the alert look on the faces and not that car look? Okay. I do have a lot to say. And when I thought, I said, it's 2024, but I got more confirmation about the importance. This is not part of my 15 minutes. Okay. I'm more in the planning committee, but it looks like you're interested. Okay. I've got something to say to someone in this place. So those of you that say, is she talking to me? Yes, I'm talking to you. Because this is the only organization that is in focus and needs to focus on the needs of the Black community. All right? And in that focus, we care about our allies because we know that racism is the first killer of classism, ageism, ableism, you know, all of it. So when you're here with us, we have alliances, but we can't get distracted. So let me mount the clock and start. If I reach you, because if I get off, we'll be here tomorrow. So act like I'm fair. And I know you will, because I heard it in the afternoon session. All right? Those of you that missed it, we still have work to do. So I have a Sankofa image up there, and I'll refer to that, because basically we're here to value our past, but we're not going to stay stuck in the past, because there's more to accomplish. Trust me, we that they call founders, and there's others that are founders at that table. We'll call out Shirley Jackson, Dr. Shirley Jackson. All right? Call out Hope, her name is Hope, it's Kathleen Connie, a president. This is not part of my 15 minutes. And I don't read, but it's coming, this is what my spirit said, bring to you today. Right? So, our title has been An Enduring Legacy. That's our theme. So I want to say good evening to my friends from way back in the day, my colleagues and my guests. It's a true privilege to be invited to address you in celebration of our 50 years of advocacy and commitment to the National Black Occupational Therapy Caucus and our commitment to the American Occupational Therapy Association. Tonight, we gather to mark the longevity of the National Black Occupational Therapy Caucus. We are gathering to reaffirm our commitment to a future where African American populations will have improved access to occupational therapy services, and students of color with aspirations to become our practitioners will have the access and support needed to persist to graduation. Reflecting on the founding and evolution of the NBOTC, we're reminded of the power of dissent and the importance of creating spaces where we belong, beyond mere inclusion. The Sankofa bird that you see up there, symbolizing the necessity of learning from our past to improve our future, serves as a guiding principle. This symbol of a mythical bird is from Ghana. The Sankofa translates literally to go back and fetch. The Sankofa bird symbolizes the necessity of learning from our past to improve our future. The essential is to tackle the challenges of systemic and structural racism within our profession and communities we serve. We can use this guiding principle. Those of us who created the National Black OT Caucus dissented by our actions of creating a type of cross-specialty special interest group for Black OT. We created a space of belonging, which is much more than inclusion, because inclusion is fitting in. Belonging is another level. We created a space where we could support each other at the annual conference and afterwards in our workplaces. In the early days of NBOTC, some AOTA colleagues questioned our needs for a space to convene separately, but we persisted in spite of the scrutiny and operated on our own terms. And that's what you're going to have to do in the future. In those days, requesting meeting space was unheard of because we had no official standing as an association entity. We weren't a task force, we weren't part of RA, we weren't a special interest group. The lesson from the past successes of the National BOTC is that we work together without seeking recognition. We focused on what was needed to strengthen the profession, and we made a safe space to debate our differences on what could be our focus, and how we best could serve our community of practitioners and students in Hollywood. I think that's the spirit of Hollywood. My message tonight is that our Black community needs, I don't know if my glasses are fogged up. My message tonight is that our Black community needs better access to occupational therapy, and the profession of occupational therapy needs our leadership. We, OT practitioners, have skills to lead and a duty to dissent in our workplaces wherever we encounter the illness-producing effects of systemic and structural racism. We, in the face of inequality, have an urgent need to dissent by speaking up for ourselves if devalued and for our clients of color. Our collective journey has been marked by significant achievements, from providing support to Black South African therapists during the apartheid era, to influencing the American Occupational Therapy Association's stance on social justice. These milestones underscore our role as leaders and advocates for change, demonstrating the impact of our collective efforts and our dedication. Today, the profession accepts conceptually that social justice and intervention into racist systems is part of our practice framework as an environmental factor known as occupational justice. All right? So we got the concept. Let's work on the interventions. So if we look to the future in the next 25 years, here in this room, you represent the untapped capacity to collectively inform the profession and to expand its body of knowledge about the dynamics of structural racism impacting the performance of occupation of populations of color, right in our government. There are terminal degrees in here, there are PhDs in here, there's OTVs in here, there's EDs. When you combine that with lived experience, that shapes the body of knowledge. So you all have 25 years to flesh out occupational justice and social justice. How many of those people am I talking about? Okay, put that hand up. All right, and it starts in the clinic, okay? Moving on, because I only got 10 more minutes. Looking forward, the landscape marked by the resurgence of exclusionary practices and policies that threatens the progress we've made. The recent challenges, including the Supreme Court's rulings affecting affirmative action and diversity initiatives, remind us of the ongoing struggle against systemic barriers. Yet, within the room lies the potential to affect meaningful change, to expand our profession's understanding of structural racism, and to champion occupational justice. Now, you've probably heard the R word more than you're going to hear in the rest of the conference. But we've got to engage at that level and not be afraid of what it is, work with it. Our entire profession, with other healthcare professions, cannot ignore the current political environment whose egregious assaults on communities of color by legislative acts are set to block legal access to equal opportunity in every social sector except the military. The recent U.S. Supreme Court ruling struck down the use of affirmative action admissions for colleges and universities, which intentionally targets the marginal gains achieved in diversity. As a result of the Supreme Court decision to restrict any reference to race to remedy hundreds of years of inequalities in higher education, it's now that several major banking and investment corporations are now eliminating DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion positions, and the initiatives like the internships that was to diversify their managers. So they have gotten scared about what's happened to Harvard, right? And they're coming after Howard University, because part of it is that the high demand schools of medicine, and they're going after the HBCU, and they're starting with Howard. That's one of the communications that I have seen, that they cannot use race as a criteria. And it's not in there, but it's like, they want to make it more the same of control. So these events will eventually bring the extremists to the door of our association and our academic programs. Yes, this is what I call Jim Crow 2.0 era, facing our profession and threatening the pipeline into our profession. So you've been forward. We know that the price of confronting social injustice from structural racism in healthcare exacts the heaviest price on activists and practitioners of color. We do the heavy lifting. We in this room all have our stories about the encounters with our peers and the subtleties of racism and differential expectations. There is a growing body of public health research that has enhanced my understanding of the price I have paid in my advocacy and my practice that I think you need to consider as you work towards more equity in your workplaces. For over a decade, Dr. Arline Geronimus has researched the impact of weathering, a term she coined that refers to the cumulative biopsychosocial effects of chronic exposure to social, economic, and political exclusion. Psychologically, the experience of systemic racism can lead to increased levels of anxiety, depression, and other emotional disorders. It erodes a sense of belonging and diminishes overall psychological well-being. Physiologically, the constant stress of facing discrimination and inequity activates the body's stress response systems. And everybody here knows we're not supposed to use that unless we're fight or flight. And there are people in here who know that when you go back to the workplace, you are going to be in fight and flight a lot of the time. So physiologically, that kind of level of stress leads to all kinds of health issues, hypertension, cardiovascular disease, and the weakened immune response, which persists across all levels of education and income. What is most surprising is that research, and she's got the book letter, you may want to look at it, is that those of us with degrees and in some sense of agency, we suffer from weather. I know that this afternoon, when those students shared that were in the pipeline, how isolated they felt. I experienced weather. I'm tired. But I know that those of us that have compassion felt it. I did. I'm not in this situation, but that's how the overflow of weather. The research found that our communities of color, we have strategies for coping. We endure in the face of these exclusions by these supportive relationships in our families, the networks such as churches, where there is a given state of belonging. That was and is the function of the National BOTC, and we are an antidote to weathering forces that erode our bodies and our spirit. And I want to say, we have seen in the HBCUs some of the broken spirits that have tried to become occupational therapists in the other places. And we put out strong practitioners, but their spirits were broken because they never felt they belonged. They got included. It was illegal to discriminate up until the Supreme Court. That's not part of my 15 minutes. So you wonder what you and I can. I'm not going to leave y'all hopeless, okay? What is our mandate within our profession and our individual roles as Black occupational therapy practitioners? Our best option is action, to feel less powerless, engage in occupation as we espouse for better emotional health and to counter a toxic social environment. In other words, do something, okay? I can't fix the Supreme Court or what we're going to face going into the rest of this year, but we can do our one part. We in AOTA must continue the tough conversations in order to craft a more equitable and more accessible profession for all. Our response to these challenges must be multifaceted. We must support our national BOTC and other Black practitioners, ensuring our voices are heard and our contributions recognized. We must engage with educational institutions to foster an understanding of the impact of structural racism in our profession and the communities we serve. They may not want to hear from you, but we meet people where they're at and bring them along. Now, it's taken us 50 years to get here. So you got 25, and you have technology to go further. So as we must commit to mentorship, research, and advocacy that advances the principles of occupational justice and equity. As we stand at this pivotal moment, let us draw strength from our shared history and the wisdom of those who paved the way for us. Let the principle of Sankofa guide us as we work to shape a future where occupational therapy is inclusive, equitable, and justice-oriented. The National Black OT Caucus's 50-year journey is a testament to what we can achieve through collective effort and dedication. Tonight, let us remember that our place here is not incidental, it is earned, it's deserved, and it's vital. is our antidote to weathering and to changing systems. My message is, it's what you believe and not to be defined by the toxic forces. And in that way, you're a better practitioner. We have to remember who we are. Tonight, as we celebrate the enduring legacy of the National NBOTC, let us renew our commitment to valuing the past to shape our future. I want to leave you with something I have relied on, and my spirit just needs to draw some strength. The lyrics come from a song by Sweet Honey in the Rock and remind us who we are and that we have a hopeful future. We in this room are our grandmother's prayer, we are our grandfather's dream, we are our ancestors' breath in the Spirit of God. We are one. Together as one, we are unstoppable. And Stefan, tell them who they are.
For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are.
for those beautiful words and helping us to further the cause in the NBOTC. At this time, one of our other founders, Ms. Jerry Bentley, will come forward and provide us with the historical account.
the pictures on the screen will share with you the things that were happening in 1974. If you see, I kept my African Liberation Day button from 1974. That's the time when we would go to that park, we would go to South African embassy to protest apartheid in South Africa. Now, I know you all know about Instagram, Facebook, etc., right? If you look down to the left, below the buttons, what do you see? You see our 1974 Instagram. Yellow posted. And this is how we started. Writing little notes on post-it. Meet in the lobby after the last session. Pass the word. And at that AOTA conference, we were at, you see the sign that says Shoreham? It was a Shoreham Americana, that's called the Aubrey something. And the picture where the piano is, that was the lobby. So imagine this. You're in this big hotel in DC, 1974, and you have 100 black faces in your lobby. They got really nervous and they made So now, while there were a number of people present at that time, there are 10 people that have been identified as the founders. And let's get one thing straight, Jerry Hendrick was not a practitioner, right, So at that meeting, we learned that there was a group of practitioners comprised of Bobby, Joyce, Cindy, Wimberly, Leela, Javed, and some others who had already started to establish a meeting at 7:30. We didn't know anything about that. So I get to the meeting, and Yvonne Lauer said, okay, what's your agenda? My agenda was to get my people here. She said, do you mean you have all these people here and you have no plan? Energetic, activist student, right? Thank God for